Welcome to a special episode of Blues in the Basement. Actually, what I plan to do, starting now, is to create a series of episodes where I cover slide guitar. So, some of the basics of slide guitar I'm not going to cover. I'm going to assume that you can find that information elsewhere, such as like what is an open E tuning, which is the tuning I'm going to use at least in this video. There's two tunings I primarily use, and open E is one of them. Other things that are important is setting up your guitar properly for slide. The action on this guitar is set up for slide. It's not friendly to play unless I'm playing slide. The action's quite high. Also, strings, important. I guess I said I wasn't going to cover this, but here I am covering it. So some of the basics, right? Strings. I use bridge cables. I use very, very heavy strings on my slide guitars. This is 13 through 60 something, tuned up to open E. So uncomfortable to play unless I'm playing slide. Not impossible, but certainly uncomfortable. So when we play slide, often when we're tuned to open E, most of us will gravitate towards playing in the key of E, right? Well, that's a natural thing to do, right? You're open E, you're tuned to an E chord, so you're going to want to play in E. I love to play off of the fifth. So if this guitar is tuned in the key of E, I love to play in the key of B. A couple of reasons for that. One, it's right in the middle of the neck. So I have equal opportunity to go this way and this way. I guess I get a little bit more out of here, but it's hard to get accurate the higher you go because your sweet spots are narrower. Right? But I really like that in the middle of the neck. Two, I like to sing in B. It's a really good key for me. So B works out really well. But what I want to show you, at least in this video, is this notion of being able to move anything you do to any key, right? That's really the goal we want to be able to do. You shouldn't put on your slide guitar, which is tuned to E, and only be able to play in E. You could do things like that, but you end up bringing, a bunch of guitars to the gig and you have to change in between songs. So I will show you some things that you can use and move those around. So there are three slide guitar players who have really, really influenced me. And the first guitar player is Cooder. Maybe like some of you, you saw the Crossroads movie when you were young, and realized it wasn't the Karate Kid who was, playing all that cool stuff. So I loved the sound of that. I think that movie came out when I was like 14, maybe 15. So I hadn't been playing very long. And I really was infatuated with that sound. It took me, 20 years to figure out how to do it. But so we're going to cover some of the approaches, or at least, one of the general approaches that Cooder uses. So we're going to do that in the key of B, right? So basically the scale that I work out of to get a lot of those Cooder sounds. This is just a thin slice of the cake that is Cooder. He's an amazing guitar player who does so many things. But this is one glimpse into one of those things. So the scale that I'm going to work out of is sort of based on that. So in the key of B, that's your root note. And so we have 7th fret, 5th fret, go to the next string, 2nd string, 7th fret, 5th fret. And then the next string, I'm going to do 7th fret and then 6th fret. But that generally, I'm not going to like hang on that note. I'm going to slide that note either down or up. And then 7th fret is our root note. Something like this. Or So there's subtle different things you can, or different ways you can get to that note. You can slide into it, slide up from it, slide down from it, slide up to it. And all of those things, you can play loosey-goosey with that a little bit in most cases. If you're playing something that's very clearly like B minor, you want to be really careful. It's a major third. And a major third over a minor third is an interesting sound. All right, so that scale. That's really the pentatonic minor scale. It just has more of a vocal quality because you're playing slide. So you can pick each note or slide them. You have all those options. So a lot of slide guitar, really the secret sauce is in what you're doing with your right hand. Your right hand has to work really hard. So first thing, a lot of slide guitar players do not use a pick, and I don't either when I'm playing slide. Because your right hand really has to spend a lot of time muting other strings. Otherwise, you get all this awful noise. You know, you don't want to hear all that stuff. So your hand is kind of muting and then moving up to let the notes ring that you want to ring and not others. So then you can take that same scale and go up. So the other thing that really makes slide sound the way it does, in particular, Cooder was amazing and still is at this, is the vibrato, right? So you don't just want to hit a note that kind of sounds like a sick cat. If you just, it's like a sine wave. It's not pleasant sounding. So with most notes, you're going to want to put vibrato if you're holding the note. So that takes some getting used to because you don't want to move outside of whatever the center of pitch is and get like a, or especially go sharp. That is sort of a rookie slide mistake. You lose control and your notes end up going sharp. Also bear in mind that when you're playing slide, if your action is high, if you press down hard, which you definitely don't want to do, that will also make it go sharp. So you want to just glide on top of the string. You certainly don't want to fret because you get really ugly sounds because you're defeating the purpose of slide, which is to get the in-between notes, the note in between here and here. Those semitones. So that vibrato really is about finding that center pitch, and then you're just trying to make it sing a little bit. So it depends on what finger you're using to play slide with on how you're going to get the best vibrato. It's different for everybody. For me, I actually play slide on two different fingers. I'll use my pinky and I'll use my third finger. I love the vibrato I get on my third finger. But I also play slide with the slide on my pinky. This is one of those cool taper slides that allows me to put it on either finger because it's flanged on one end. So I use the slide on my pinky if I'm doing Sonny Landreth kinds of things because I need the freedom to have these three fingers to do Sonny Landreth kinds of things. But my vibrato is not as pleasant. I don't care for it as much. And maybe I'm just being fussy, but I really like the sound of that. And then I also use the slide on my third finger if I'm doing Derek Trucks kinds of things, because it takes accuracy. And my pinky maybe isn't strong enough to be accurate to the degree it needs to be to do the Derek Truck kinds of things that I'll cover in another video. All right, so this is a scale that you definitely can use. Well, what about the other strings, right? Do we keep going? It actually works out the same way. And there's our root note. So you can have all pretty much 5s and 7s with the, except for the 3rd string where you have some options. 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7. Here you really have your choice of 5, 6, and 7, depending, unless you're in a minor key. And then you're really gonna, want to avoid that 7th fret. That, So that seems simple, and it is, but there's a lot of music in just that space. A couple of things you can start to do. Add the flatted 5th, and that is the blues scale. Some cool stuff in there. The other thing, a very Cooder approach, is to use 2 and 3 note combinations out of that scale, which is just the 1st string and the 2nd string. So those are all 2 note combinations. You can also do some string skipping ideas, where instead of 1st and 2nd, I'm going to do 1st and 3rd. So that really kind of comes down to that right hand and being able to do those mutes. Or stuff that'd be very hard to do with a pick. So you have that ability to pick and choose which strings you want to ring together. So if you're new to slide guitar, it looks easy, and you may try this yourself and realize, oh my gosh, this is frustrating. And those around you who are listening to you try, they're even more frustrated. Yes, indeed. So it really took me a very long time to get comfortable with slide guitar. Start with simple ideas. Make that sound good. Make sure your vibrato is very centered. And your pitches are accurate. You don't want to be flat. You don't want to be sharp. So you want to be... Take some time to work through that and start with little ideas and build up your accuracy and your vibrato. All right. I hope you have fun with it. So I hope you really like these videos. I plan on doing a couple of videos a week until someone tells me to stop. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. You can search for me, Jay Stulo. There's probably only 2 of us in the whole wide world, and I'll be the one with the guitar. If you really like the videos, there's a link in the description for all the videos to show your support with a donation. Thank you.